Well, I think what you've seen over the last particularly years, I think you've seen an acceleration of people who become disenchanted with a lot of bad policies in a lot of these parts of the country. I think a lot of it was COVID lockdowns and the irrationality of that. I think a lot of it has been crime and not having the wherewithal to stand by law enforcement. And then obviously the economic climate. We're a much more free economy. We don't have oppressive taxes. We have the lowest per capita tax burden in the country. We're proud of that. So I think there's a number of factors, but I do think that the last year has caused a lot of folks to say, you know what, we've got to go. I read something, and it rings true to me, but I haven't talked to people directly, but I read an article about how these financial firms, they're inundated with their employees saying, send me to Florida. I don't want to be in some of those cities anymore. So I think the state's got a lot to offer. At the same time, we've got a lot of good folks here. I mean, it's a free country. People can kind of do as they see fit. But I'm satisfied with a lot of the great stuff that's going on with some of our folks who have been here, and many of them who've been here for an awful long time, particularly in this part of the state. So it's a great mix, and we've got a lot of good momentum going forward, and we want to keep it that way. I mean, we've been able to lead on a lot of different things, and I think people have noticed that, and we're proud of that. Well, look, I think when you're talking about doing like infrastructure, obviously someone's going to be contracted to do this, so there is some type of effect on the local economy. But I think the main thing is as you understand the needs of different areas, and even this with the smaller cities, and I'm telling you, people see this. There's going to be people that are going to come. This city will grow. So all this stuff is happening, and so just having that solid foundation of infrastructure, I think, is really, really important. It can help facilitate jobs. I mean, obviously, we do this in a number of different parts of the state. For example, we've done a lot in the Space Coast of Florida, and you've seen with the private investments that go in, that is ready, that the people have wanted to do that, but having some of the things with the airport, with some of those other things, really make it so that people have what they need. So I don't think it's the type of thing where you can say, hey, if you do an infrastructure project here, it's definitely going to guarantee that these jobs come. But I do think that tending to that and understanding that that's an important foundation, does help you be able to have a strong economy going forward. We're also when we looked at, this was a couple months ago, I think we made the decision about not doing the enhanced unemployment because we had 500,000 job openings in Florida almost, and people were desperate. I can tell you, employers have said since we made that change, there's some that said they had more applications in like 3 weeks than they had in the previous 3 months because we're basically saying, okay, the jobs are there, let's get people into those jobs. And so I think that's been good, and I think the states that have done that are going to lead with filling some of our positions, and I think the states that didn't do that are going to continue to have a little bit more of the stagnation. So all in all, when I would go around the state, any corner of the state, people would tell me that about not being able to find enough employees. And so we're addressing that, and I think we're getting in a better spot. But just think, that's a much better problem to have than to have the opposite problem where there's no jobs available for anybody. And that's what, when COVID first hit and everything started to stop, that was really what a lot of people feared, that this would be a really deep, maybe a deep recession or maybe even a depression type thing where we'd have chronically high unemployment for months and months and maybe even years. And I think, at least in Florida, the opposite has happened. We've been below the national average in unemployment since last summer, and we're going to continue, I think, to trend in a good direction for private sector job growth. So fundamentals are good. I do worry about some of the macro trends where we see with inflation, if you look in the economy, and I think that's driven more by federal policies, but that does pinch folks. The gas prices, how much gasoline has gone up, that definitely pinches a lot of folks. So we're concerned about that. We feel like what we're doing in Florida is effective, and we think we've got a good foundation. But some of those trends, I think, are trends that need to be looked at, and hopefully on the federal level there'll be a more appropriate response so that we don't have too much inflation. Okay, thanks everybody. We'll be back soon.